everyone, welcome back to another episode of Stating the Obvious. You know how it is. We're going to start this episode, as we start every episode, by asking the boys some obvious facts. Noah,
What?
say something obvious. We're starting with you today.
Oh man, I should have bought GME like 4 or 5 days ago. The fact that I didn't probably means like I'm maybe like a couple $1,000s poorer than I would be otherwise right now.
You're not winning, you're
Couple
losing.
thousand.
I'm lowballing there.
Yeah, I think you're lowballing quite a bit. But imagine, man. And didn't you know about it? Like you were in r/Wall Street.
Okay,
Bets? Like
okay,
you could have.
okay.
You could have.
Know about it is a stretch. Like I was aware that something was happening. Like I was aware that Wall Street Bets was like going through like a total meltdown. And I was aware that the GameStop stock price had like gone through the roof in like a couple days. What I wasn't aware of was the underlying fundamentals, because I was just seeing people going like, "Diamond hands, like whole GME called like $120 420.69." I'm just sitting there like, "What the fuck is a stock?" So I had no idea what was going on, and I was like, "All right." Since I have no idea what's going on, the safe thing to do is probably not get involved.
That is probably safe.
That's fair. I'm sure, because lots of people lose their life savings on r/Wall Street Bets. So, it could have gone really bad as well.
Wait, does anyone know what it started at and what it's at now?
It
It started at like 20
Yeah.
at like the beginning of the year.
It's like $20 now. It's currently hovering around 300.
Yeah,
Jesus
something like a
Christ.
1700%
Oh,
increase.
Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah,
Man, that's-
pretty crazy. All right, Jacob, what's something obvious?
Speaking of, okay, first off, I just want to point out we did not remind Pranay to get an obvious fact, but I'm pretty sure he had a website.
I had a mini heart attack because I figured out that I lost the previous episode, and then this was all happened a minute ago when Jit asked. No, it was an obvious fact.
I was really hoping Jit would ask Pranay first.
I was like, oh fuck, and then, well, I got a good fact now. I got a good fact.
Okay,
Bob, you go
well, my
first.
fact, speaking of the stock market and all the stuff happening on Wall Street Bets, is GameStop is now a Fortune 500 company.
Is it really?
is.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. The power of Reddit, ladies and
What can
gentlemen.
I say? Their business model is unparalleled.
Yeah, it's actually insane, guys. It's too crazy. Okay, Pranay, I bought you some time. I felt like being nice to Pranay today because normally we
Good.
heckle him a lot. So Pranay,
Good. Yes.
stay something obvious for us.
My obvious fact is, there are a lot of animals who are known to have a wider range of vision than human beings. But there are some things, like for example, dogs and cats and other similar animals cannot see directly below their faces just because their snout is in the way.
Okay?
Well, you can't see directly below your face either. Like your face is in the
but
way.
I have a relatively better, like, I can't see past my nose, but my nose isn't like super long.
All right, wait to body shame animals.
You wanna know some interesting facts right now that'll make you think really hard about what your brain is doing?
No.
Yes, you do, Noah. Yes, you do.
Sure.
Right now, you can feel the weight of your tongue at all times. You just choose to ignore it. You can always
Stop
you
that.
can always see your nose. You just choose to ignore it. At all times, you can just see your nose. You just filter it. Your brain just filters it out.
You guys ever see like an X-ray of your tongue from the side?
Yeah.
I have
So, like-
not.
Yeah, it's
What is
pretty
it?
You
long.
think of it, yeah, it's like you think of it like as that like little flappy thing, but in your mouth. But it turns out there's like a huge fucking like muscle that extends all the way down into your throat.
It's
So it's like-
the strongest muscle
really?
like, per
What the
square
hell?
foot.
Yeah, like it's like an iceberg. Like the part you normally associate with your tongue is like 10% of this huge, just long like muscle that
That makes you like
moves.
so
I
uncomfortable.
know.
Yeah,
It's
actually
so
does.
weird.
I'm like uncomfortable existing right
It's
now,
so
guys.
weird. Like every time you move your tongue, like you just have this enormous block of meat moving in your
Stop
like
saying all
throat.
that.
I mean, that's
It's
basically
doing it
what
right
happens
now.
when you move any muscle. like this huge chonky meat sack is moving.
Yeah, but like I mean, normally you can see it, right? Like you can see like
You can see your
the
muscles.
entirety of like your arm muscle, right? And you're like, yeah, that's like my arm, but you don't really see the entirety of like your tongue. You just think of it as that like little flappy bit in your mouth, and like you're like, oh, it's like my little tongue. But no, it's huge. It's huge and it's monstrous. And it's honestly kind of disgusting.
Thomas.
Our listeners won't get
Inside.
that unless you're Mukund. Mukund will get that.
One person will get that, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. One of our most consistent listeners to this podcast, and he was on actually
He's our first
last
listener.
episode. So yeah, he was our first guest as well. And if you want, you can go check out the episode with him. You just go to the next one after you're done with this episode. But now that we've all stated our little obvious tidbits for the day, you know, winter break's over.
Unfortunate.
We have school. Most of us have school. Not all of us. So why don't we start there?
So PJ, you recently flew back, right?
Yeah. So my school, I'm the person who does not have school. Wait, no, do you have school?
No, I don't. I'm
Okay,
taking a gap
never.
semester, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Oh, okay. So my school starts tomorrow, so I flew back on
So
Wednesday.
how was the experience flying during the whole
Flight experience was a bit interesting. I will say it was more crowded than when I came back.
Really?
From Pittsburgh, yeah, originally. So when I came back in
Hmm.
December, which is kind of interesting because I came back a couple of days before Christmas.
Yeah, well, to be fair, not a lot of people travel like the day before Christmas. It's usually like a couple
No,
days,
it
right?
wasn't the day before. It was actually like perfectly a couple of days before.
Huh.
It was like maybe like 4 or 5 days before.
Did you fly to Pittsburgh or Philly?
I flew. Okay, so now I flew to. So in December, I flew just straight to Dallas one way, no stops. Now I flew from Dallas to Pittsburgh, no stops too.
About how full would you say your plane was?
Hmm?
About how full would you say your plane was?
At
Like, give me a
least
percent
2/3.
capacity.
At the very least 2/3.
Damn. Like
Oh wow! So I'm assuming people didn't have like rows. Like I know earlier on during
Yeah,
the
I
pandemic,
don't
people
think-
had like
I
an
don't
entire
think
Yeah,
like
no.
when I was going to Dallas, I had like 2 rows to myself. I had my
Oh,
row
yeah,
and the row
I
next to me.
saw it. You
remember-
sent me a picture.
But now-
when I came back, sorry, I was just gonna say like when I flew back was all the way back in March, when like the pandemic was like at like the height of like the hysteria, and nobody was going anywhere. And I'm not kidding. It was like literally 5 people on this huge 737.
I know that airlines now, some airlines are requiring you to get tested. Some even require vaccines. So, did you have to do
Really?
any of that, or
I didn't have to do it.
or could you just go on with nothing?
I could just like go on whatever I want. I mean, like to be fair, you obviously have to have a mask.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that later. But like now on the plane, no one got their own row. There were middle seats open, but some of my other friends like who left the Saturday before I did. To be fair, it is a Saturday. It's a bit more busy. Those flights were actually so busy. Like people didn't have you had to sit in middle seats. Like that's how busy it was.
Huh.
And honestly,
Crazy.
Yeah.
that's a bit scary. But like,
That's
Yeah.
that would make me so
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
That's kind of nuts.
Like, I don't know. Are these people traveling for pleasure, or are they doing it because of like business or stuff like that?
I mean, I'm
I'm
I don't
assuming
really know.
business, but
I mean, yeah, most travel around like this time would be business.
I mean,
it's like sometimes
like,
you
you're-
have to
you're-
do. So
Yeah. But I think it really goes to show like how short our attention span is. Like
Yeah.
the
Like, even
pandemic
though the
didn't get any
pandemic-
better. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like super good right now, but we just hear about it less in the media and whatnot, or
Well, yeah. I mean,
or just wherever.
like if anything,
and-
more people are dying now, like than before. But people just got bored, and
They just got like used to it.
yeah.
They're just like, it's just.
yeah, I remember in one of our previous episodes, if you want to go watch that, when the pandemic first came around, Noah was like, "Yeah, this is natural selection. We live with it."
I mean, what can I say? If you're not taking precautions in a global pandemic, I I mean, I'm not saying.
Do you deserve to live? Like,
Yeah.
do you really deserve to live?
Like,
I
look,
don't
man.
know.
Society has given all of us a lot: internet, clean water, food, housing, electricity. Like, give back to society a little bit by not spreading or not actively trying to spread this deadly virus that we can't really control at the moment.
See, the thing is,
Just-
once you get the vaccine, you are fairly well protected. The like mask and stuff like that is only to help other people at that point.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, like I will say, like so there's interesting stuff concerning rules on planes. So for example, on planes you can't on the plane itself in the airport you can, but on the plane itself you can't wear a mask with a vent. Because like those are made to only protect you and not others. So, you can't wear those. But what you can do, like what I did, is I wore an N95 mask with a vent, and then over that I wore like a K95 or something.
Yeah, the
So
double
it
mask.
kind of
thing, right?
it just filters out the air that's coming out of the N95, and then just like put a face mask or something on top just for like safe measures.
good measure.
But like I will say, man, I had to blow my nose so much, and it was so difficult to hold it in. At one point, I was just like, "Oh God, can I? I really don't know if I can do this anymore."
I think, yeah. Whenever we went to like debate tournaments, for Nate and I would always just be like,
24/7.
our
constantly.
allergies,
Oh,
our
man.
allergies. We were like, Renee and I were like immediately like when we reached like a tournament, we're like locate the nearest tissue box. Like,
I would like classrooms with tissue boxes when we go to do a debate. Those are the
amazing.
nicest classrooms.
Renee spent the entirety of debate tournaments in the bathroom and blowing his nose, never with extem points.
damn.
What the hell? I'm just carrying step points with me to the bathroom.
Wait, shit, I do. Jit does. I know he does.
Okay.
He told me.
I do. This is true.
All right. Well, what about you, Jip?
Oh, wow,
what
that's
about
funny.
you? How's your semester?
Well, my semester started a little while ago. Like I think, 2 weeks ago, and so I have classes. You know, most of them CS classes. I'm also taking like American Studies and stuff. So filling out some of my core credits as well. But I'm just kind of apathetic to it all at this point. I've already done one entire semester online, and that was like pretty less than average. I don't really have super high hopes for this semester.
Is this all online?
So
All online also? Okay.
yeah, it's all entirely online. So, you know, some of my classes are kind of jokes. Some of my classes I have to do work for, but for all of them, I don't really care. So,
That is nice.
yep, that's where I'm at right now. It's a life.
Yep.
But how's it with you, Jacob? How's
I
everything?
think I also
going
started
with
the
your
same time
online?
as you. I'm also all online. But my classes are like some of them. So like I have 5, right? And like 3 of them, no, 2 of them are like pretty hard, pretty difficult. It's biochem and human physiology. So it's like kind of essential classes, but they're like pretty difficult. And then the others are like kind of blow off, kind of easy. So like I'm just basically putting all my time into those 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, blow-off classes are nice. Even some of my CS classes, like the exams, are like open note and such. So
That is
I'm
the
not
one
too
thing like
stressed,
I
but-
will say about online classes is like it makes like grading or like getting higher grades easier and like exams easier because a lot of them
Easier.
are open note and stuff
So
like that.
much easier.
Yeah.
That's why. I'll talk about this point a little later, but yeah, that's why I still even decided to take like the classes that I'm taking.
I mean, a lot
right
of
now.
people. I
But
read this recent study things saying that like having online exams when you have like open note and like open internet and stuff like that is good because it teaches you how to solve problems in the real world. Because like no one in the real world like has all this stuff memorized. Like a lot of the times they go look stuff up and like figure it out using the knowledge base they have and stuff like that. So like
Stack Overflow.
yeah, as long as you like the question isn't like copy and paste from like Chegg or something like that, like it's a more accurate representation.
Yeah. No, but there's also like cheating issues and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
But-
generally more accurate. Like one person in my physics class I took last semester uploaded the entire exam to Chegg
What
and then
the
asked for help with it.
Did
The
he
entire
receive help?
situation. No, the physics department found out that he posted the
Oh,
entire
what the heck?
exam, and
He must
there's
have
like,
gone, like
and then Chegg gave up his identity. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure that you have
Yeah.
to sign a thing saying that like if
yeah,
people ask for it, they can give it to you.
okay. But Noah, tell us a little bit about how you're doing
All right. Well,
your gap semester.
I'm taking a gap semester. mostly doing it for my mental health. Last semester wasn't so great in that regard. So yeah, I've been like seeing a psychiatrist, therapist, whole deal. Uh, Honestly, not been doing much else. It's been a boring month so far, and I expect the rest of the spring to go by much the same.
Would you say it's better than the fall? Doing better than the fall?
Uh, I guess. Like, on the one hand, when I had school, I had something to do, but it was also like really boring, and I didn't want to do it. And now I don't have anything to do, and I can't really fill my time with like anything super engaging because I can't really go anywhere, and it's not like I have a job or anything. So it's just been sitting around.
Well, here's I will say like two things here, I guess. But first, like you know what? Honestly, with 2021, I'll take boring every day of the week compared to what 2020 was because like boring is better than just like another catastrophe. So yeah, but you and I have talked a little bit about this, but I think look, I think we all agree when we're like Noah would be a good professor, history with Noah.
Yeah.
I don't think we have that segment in this
Oh,
episode
yeah.
today, but
We can just
or
we can
one
just
of our
like,
running segments.
we can just on the spot spontaneously just put it in whenever
Why?
the time comes.
Oh.
Noah's not
Noah's
only
like,
like
I hate you all.
Noah's just not like a planning history book. He's a spontaneous history book too. You can ask him for a history fact at any moment, and he'll just give you one. That is
Leave
who
a
Noah
comment.
is.
What you want Noah to talk about? Some history facts.
Well, now
Yeah.
I know that I won't be talking about any history facts because we don't get any comments.
Rip.
I'll comment for you, Noah.
No,
I'll-
that's, dude, like commenting on your own podcast is like even lamer than commenting on your own Facebook post.
But I would comment on my own podcast for you, Noah.
I don't
Noah's
doubt it, Pranay.
merciless.
Okay.
Yeah, but going back to like the original thing, I do think Noah would be a good history teacher.
Well, I think I talked to Noah about this, but this is my pitch for Noah for what to do with his time, and it's that he should write
Become a
stuff.
history teacher.
And well, what the frick? I guess you could also do that, but I don't know how you're gonna like go teach history
Just
classes.
start a YouTube
But
channel.
I think Noah could write really well because he reads a lot, and I feel like that translates to like something.
You could write and like try and sell it to somebody. Not even like a book, just like random articles, and you could try selling it to
I mean, it
people.
could be literally about
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, like articles about issues or about. I was telling you, he could screenwrite, so like write stuff for like TV shows, movies, whatever.
Mm.
You know.
You could start a Netflix show. You could write a Netflix show.
Yeah.
Pitch it to them.
Honestly, I think Noah has the talent for that.
I feel like you're putting me under a lot of pressure.
No, that's what you gotta do. We got you, or we'll make
Yeah,
you.
you want an actor? I'm here.
He's definitely not being held
want a
hostage in
singer?
my
It's
basement,
got you.
guys.
Damn.
Noah is here of his own free will. Definitely.
Yeah.
We did not force him to be here, and he is not handcuffed anywhere.
It's kind of kinky.
Oh my god.
knew
I
something
knew
like
it.
that was coming. I knew
I
something.
regretted it the
Like,
second
look,
I said
man.
it. It came out of my mouth. I was like,
Being handcuffed in
why?
Viswa's basement, I don't know. Like you just set it up. You're just like, let me just tee up this put for you. And I'm like, all right, I'll take a swing, but you can't act surprised.
no, I regretted it the second I said it. You know what? I have that right. This is America.
No, it's not right. Or a privilege. You did this to yourself.
Okay, so vaccines.
Okay.
Guys.
Okay.
Guys,
Okay.
COVID
Okay.
vaccines.
I will say one thing that I think is kind of interesting that our school is doing is, they're allowing every single person on campus and obviously staff and stuff too, to take a test every week if you want to, which means like their capacity to test is like insane at this point.
Yeah, that's. I'm not on campus like right now, but if I was, it's mandatory for every student and staff to take a COVID test every week. Like you have to.
Really.
Yeah.
And I assume they they provide you a facility to do.
Yeah, they give you all this stuff. Like it's self-administered. It's self-administered.
Yeah,
They send you
I
a
assume
test.
like Baylor would also be like good about that because they're like men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like, they're known for their medical school or anything, right? Like,
Yeah,
But
they-
apparently, what they did is like they built a lab just for like well, not just for COVID testing. It'll be after COVID. It'll be used for other stuff too. But like they built a lab which now is the only purpose is to do COVID testing.
It's like an infectious disease thing, but like specific to COVID now. But like after it's for infectious diseases.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. I wouldn't know what.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you. So
Okay.
yeah, you wouldn't know, PJ.
like
Well.
God.
you recently had to do a test or something, right?
Okay, yeah. Let me get into this. So, this test I didn't take at CMU because I couldn't schedule it that early. So I don't know if you guys know what Curative is, but they do free tests like pretty much anywhere in the U.S. So you can schedule a test. Obviously, you have to go to a testing location. So, like in Dallas, for example, I went to the FC Dallas Stadium where they had like this station set up for COVID testing. But for here, it's little bit more difficult because I did not have a car and it's a bit rough to like take a bus and stuff too. Just because like there might be a bajillion people on a bus. And that's obviously not safe. So I registered for a COVID test location. The unfortunate part, this place was an hour and a half walk away from where I live. So clearly I'm not going to do this hour and a half walk, but luckily a friend who was not here last semester but just came back this semester, I remember he had a bike in freshman year that he used all the time. And so I was just like, yo, I hit him up, I was like, yo, can I use your bike? And he was like, okay, unfortunately my bike is still at our freshman dorm because he didn't come back since spring break last year. So he hasn't been back since spring break last year. His bike is still locked up at our freshman dorm. We live in the same dorm. And which is kind of unfortunate because now we don't get access to that dorm anymore. Because we don't live at that dorm, so our key card doesn't allow us entry into that dorm. But luckily, on the other hand, I did know a sneaky way to get into the courtyard without a key card. It involves like jumping a fence and something whatnot, but it wasn't like it's not too bad.
Let's be honest. You would have preferred to do this to get into
Yeah.
the dorms every single time.
Oftentimes I
Like,
did,
let's be
because this
real
was-
here,
This
Pranay.
was a bit faster because like usually to get in you have to like swipe in twice or like go through a series of stairs. So usually I would just jump over the fence because I'd be like, this is kind of stupid. I don't want to do this swipe nonsense.
Don't lie, you just enjoy jumping over things.
Exactly
what Noah
I also do enjoy jumping
what
over
Noah
things.
said.
That is another good part about it.
Like we literally can't go outside with Renee without him trying to just like jump over or onto random like nearby objects.
This is true. This is so
Okay.
true.
I am known to often jump onto things, but
It's like
not.
he's
every
like a
moment.
fucking cat. Like we'll just be walking along like the sidewalk, like completely normally, and then we just like decide to jump like onto like a trash can or something for no apparent reason.
I'm testing my
Then
limits.
he'll just look at you.
What? What am I
Like,
looking
Bish, what's up? What you gonna do about it?
And I'll say, yo, film me jumping over this, and let me put a slow mo filter on it.
Hey, yeah, some of
Oh,
them
yeah.
are quite sick. Okay. Either way, I'm like, okay, I know a sneaky way to get in. Getting the bike out will be a bit difficult, but I think I can do it. And so it's the day of the test. He tells me the password to his lock, so I can obviously get the bike out. And so I'm like preparing. I go 2 hours before my test just in case I'm not able to get the bike out. And I end up having to walk. So I jump out of the fence as normal. I honestly felt I felt so cool, like as a thief and stuff. I honestly could make a living.
Yeah, we know.
okay.
We know.
Okay.
We know.
So I go there. I mistake the first bike. I thought it was a different bike. Eventually I find the right bike. I open the code. I get the bike, and then I have to like yeet this bike over the fence. And so I just like pretty much like big man it over the fence, and then I go back to
tall
the
is
other
this
side.
fence? How tall is this fence?
Okay, so the one I jumped over is kind of tall. That one's like I don't just like leap over it. I grab onto it and I like climb. It's not just me.
No, like
in
how,
one leap.
like how many feet high is it? Like, give us like
okay,
a number.
so like So the one on the way there, going into it, I take one fence. Going out of it, I take different fence because I have the fucking bike. Okay, so but going into it,
yeah.
the fence I have is like maybe 1.5 times my height. Something like
Okay.
Okay.
So like about
going-
like 9 feet. Like let's just assume you're 6
Yeah,
foot.
9, 10
that.
feet.
Yeah, something around that. Something around 9 feet. But going out, I have to like, the way I don't exactly throw the bike over the fence. There's like this other fence that's kind of connected to a residential area, and I don't want to jump into their backyards, but it's like a wall, so you can climb on the wall, like walk along the wall. So I get onto the wall with this bike, and I like kind of shimmy it over, and then I have to like throw it a little bit. It's hard to describe, but eventually, long story short, I throw the bike over, and then I get out safe.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I get on this. I text my friend. I'm just like, "Yo, I got your bike." He was like, "Pug, this is. I never thought I would see this bike again." And then I get on and I realize the biggest problem of all is that the tires obviously do not have any air whatsoever. It has been there for at the very least 8 months, and so clearly it's not going to have air.
Yeah, and it's
And so
like
I-
freezing, right?
Yeah, and it's freezing too. And I thought about this beforehand. And so I asked him if he has a bike pump, and he's like, "No, I don't have a bike pump." But there are some places around CMU where they do have bike pumps. Also, another point to this story is it is like 20 degrees outside. So I'm
Can I
very
just
big
say,
bundled up.
don't you just think it would just be easier to walk at this point? Like the amount of work that you're going through in order to get this whole bike situation to work. Like,
Okay, eventually I make this decision as well. but so I go to the bike pump and it's 20 degrees outside, so I can only pump this bike because I can't use my gloves to pump it. The way this bike pump works, I don't have enough dexterity, so I can only pump it in like 3-minute intervals, which is a bit annoying because taking off not even 3-minute, like 2-minute intervals, because my hands get so cold. It's just I have to like warm them up using body heat and whatnot. So I take off the cap, and then I try to pump it, and then I realize the next shit problem is that either the bike pump or the bike is just completely shit, and the back tire won't pump, and the front tire will only be halfway pumped. And so at this point, I'm getting late, and it's to the point where I don't know if I can make it, if I can walk or not. I have to maybe jog some of the way. And so I get to a point where I'm just like, you know what, I'll just try the bike and see how it goes. So I start going downhill, and since it's downhill, it's not that bad. But let me tell you, biking on tires with no air is the worst possible thing you could do. It takes so much effort if you're not going downhill, because you're practically trying to move, instead of moving the rubber, you're trying to move the metal part that the rubber is connected to, because it is that there's no air at all. So like the metal will be touching the ground practically, and it just does not work. And to top it all off, I didn't realize this until it was this bad, until I was starting to go uphill. But my friend told me this. He's just like, "Yo, my bike has a little problem about shifting gears when you pedal too hard." And so obviously I need to pedal hard because these tires don't have any air whatsoever. So I start pedaling hard and try to go uphill, but the gear just pops out. It just, like, every time you do a hard pedal, it just pops into the next gear, and then keeps on popping out until the entire gear the chain pops out of the gear itself. And luckily, I do know how to fix this. I learned in middle school. One of my friends, I don't know if we talked about on this podcast, but Jason D'Souza, he told me how to fix this one day. You kind of like make the chain loose. There's a way to do on the bike, and then you just like manually put it back in. And so I had to do that. And then I decided at that point I'm just going to walk uphill.
Pranay, remind me, why did you start telling the story?
I had to take a COVID test. That's the original reason.
The biggest twist to all of this is if the test came back positive.
Oh my God. I did get my results, and I was negative.
Swear to God, Pranay.
So there's that.
You already tell stories like a 70-year-old man with dementia.
Oh, God.
To everyone out there, just all our listeners, spare a thought for Pranay's future grandchildren and just the interminable, monotonous, mundane stories they will have to sit through. Just you don't even have to really imagine it that much. Like, you were there a minute ago.
You are one.
Yeah, let me finish telling the story, gang.
Okay.
Oh my God.
We're already this far into it, we gotta finish it.
Okay. So, at this point, I'm struggling so hard. I'm sweating, even though it's 20 degrees outside, and I'm really considering that. I'm like, should I even take this test or not? Is it worth? It's free either way. I don't have to take this test. But then I get to the halfway point, and I'm just, you know what? I'm halfway here. I might as well just keep on going. And then this place is actually so far. I didn't realize I have to cross a highway to get there. Thankfully, there's a bridge over the highway, but I had to cross a freaking highway to get to this testing location. And so then eventually I get there, and I chain this bike up to a fence. I take this test, and also all the meanwhile, my phone is actually complete shit on battery. So I was by the time I was at CMU, and from CMU to the testing locations another hour, I was on 10% battery. And the thing is, I had to show the people at the location a barcode for them to scan. So I couldn't use my phone that entire duration of that entire trip. So I had to memorize the directions from CMU to the testing location. And so usually I'm actually pretty good with directions. So I did. I thought that wasn't that much of a challenge. But also my phone is completely shit. On the way back, it just turned off. And it just ran out of charge. So I was like, hey, well, this is kind of a rip. But either way, I get there, I take the test, and then I'm dreading so much having to go all the way back. And then I see some of my friends, Div and Fish. I see they're testing at the same time. They come, and they're like, bro, like, honestly, the buses have nobody on it. Just take a bus on the way back. So we find a bus, we wait for a bus that has absolutely nobody on it, and then finally I put the bike there's like a bike rack on the front of the bus that's it's actually kind of interesting how it holds the bike in place using some sort of physics and shit. But thankfully we take a bus on the way back. There's nobody there, nothing to worry about. And that's pretty much a story. It's
And
like
this
one
is
of the
one
worst
of the
experiences in my life.
life.
But you cannot imagine how difficult it was to bike that thing. Like, even downhill was a struggle.
This straight up sounds
And
like
I had to
something out of
walk
like a
uphill.
movie. This sounds like a movie scene or something.
Like, oh my god, man. Honestly, if you followed with me with the camera, it could have been a movie. We could have sent it to Noah. He could have made it a history movie.
Why would I do that?
This would be the worst movie I've ever seen in my
It's
life.
neither.
No,
It's
you
not
can make it interesting.
history. It's not film worthy either.
It's really not anything.
No, put it on.
Maybe
put
if
it on
it's
COVID
your
test
YouTube
came
channel now.
positive, then we'd have a story.
It's just a series of poor decisions on your part.
You just call it a series of unfortunate events. That's what you could call it.
That's disrespectful to the
It's not
original
even
material.
unfortunate events. It's just you being a head ass. You could have just walked.
Well, I thought
You
a bike would be-
apparently predicted all these things too. You were like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to jump this fence. Oh, the
Okay, no,
tires are probably not gonna have
jumping
air."
the fence
Like-
itself was kind of that was I found enjoyment in that, but
The-
like
Yeah, but you still knew you were gonna have to do all of these
yeah,
things
I
in
thought
20 degrees
I
weather.
thought
And
I
you
Renee
could
did
do
this
this
still
entire
opted
thing.
to.
I
Renee
thought
did his
I would be
entire
able to
debacle
pump this
because he
thing.
was like, "Man, I could jump over a fence with the bike. Wouldn't that be cool?"
Yeah,
And
you
then
could have
the
just taken the
entire-
bus. Jit was like, you could have just taken the bus.
You could have walked. You could have taken the
I
bus.
mean-
You could have called an Uber. You
Like all the buses. So like halfway, I was thinking about taking a bus there on the way there, right? But I had to chain this bike. I had to lock this bike up to a
you wouldn't
place.
have to do that if you didn't get the bike in the first place.
Yeah, I know that was the issue. So I thought I could take the I thought I could pump the bike because I thought it wouldn't be a complete shit bike, but it's a shit
All right,
bike.
guys. So what is the lesson we take away from this story?
Please enlighten us.
I think the lesson
Why
here
do
is
you want me
pretty
to
clear.
come up with a lesson?
Don't let Pranay make decisions about anything ever.
Yeah, especially that Harvard round, right, Jacob?
Yikes.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Renee had to do it to you. But that's what you get for trying to do all this bike shenanigans in 20-degree weather. Like,
Well, at the end of the day,
Oh, God, man,
I did take a test. I also ran another errand that I had to do, so that was
Like, I can tell you your first
That's
mistake
nice.
that day, going outside in 20-degree weather, like, goddamn, you must be insane.
I mean, you get kind of. I mean,
Also-
I don't know how cold it is in DC, but I get kind of. used to
wait,
it.
it's not even like you go to Jacob school where you have to, like, the tests are mandatory. Like, this is just optional.
Yeah,
If
but
you
like
clearly
it's,
have the
it's like,
energy
I
to be
don't-
doing all this stuff, like, I highly doubt you.
Like I don't
have
want to.
COVID.
I don't want to. I don't want to see other people like without knowing for sure that I don't have I don't have COVID.
No, it's not a problem for me. I never see other people anyways.
Bog. Same. All right. we talked about this a little bit earlier on in the episode, but Wall Street bets. It's kind of taken over the news. You have Elon Musk talking about it. You have companies being generally pretty shitty. Robinhood.
Yeah, no,
Lots of things happening over
no.
here.
Why don't you just give us a brief summary of what's happening?
All right,
I
so
feel like you know
This is
basically,
Noah's history fact for the day.
Okay.
Put
It's
in
short-term
some
history with
put
Noah.
in some history fact music, Cobb.
There it
don't
is.
do that, Cobb.
There it
God
is.
damn
Very
it.
good.
It's too
God
late. No,
fucking
it's
damn
happening. It's happening, guys. It's happening. Okay, there we
Anyway,
go.
so what was the first day I noticed this was last Tuesday, and that's when the stock price hit, I think, 150. Because basically what happened was, all the way back last September, some dude called U/Deep fucking Value bought like a huge amount of GameStop stock, like a lot, and like he just did it because like he crunched the numbers. I don't know, like he figured that it would go up in price enough for it to make his like investment worth it, because like, you know, GameStop has obviously, their stock price has been on like a pretty steady decline over the last like few years.
Honestly, it
But
might have been PS5 that he was counting on.
Yeah, he was probably like, you know, PS5, Xbox. What's the new one called? One X, Bone, something like that.
Yeah, One X.
Like
I'm pretty
Series.
Series X, Series
One.
X, Series X.
Yeah, whatever. Who gives a shit? Xbox's marketing team is like, honestly, they should all be fired just for that name. Complete shit. Anyways, so, but the thing that really made this thing blow up was apparently some hedge funds. I think that the one that like all the Wall Street bets hates right now is Melvin Capital. They decided to short GameStop. So the way short works, I don't know, Viswa, do you want to explain this one, or should I?
I can explain it. I can actually. I found this like really great thing that explains it like with Oreos or something. I saved like the Reddit like comment, but I can pull that up, or you can try explaining it. I just think it's easier if you like
Well,
conceptualize
be
it
my
a little
guest.
differently. But I will find that, and I will be right back. But in the meanwhile, you can just explain what's happening with Melvin Capital and who that guy is, and
Okay.
contextualize that a
Well,
little bit.
anyways, so apparently Melvin Capital bought like a bunch of like shorts, like a lot. Like they literally shorted more stock than there existed on the market. Like they were shorting like something like
The heck?
136% of GameStop stock, which should not be possible.
That seems
like
extremely
apparently
risky too.
apparently it's illegal. Like apparently, well, from what I've seen, it's illegal. They should not have been able to do that, but they did it anyways. And then they got some, I don't know, like something called Citron Research, which I guess is just like a stock market like analysis firm or whatever, to like put out some quote unquote research that said that they thought that GameStop was gonna like tank or whatever. And so basically they were engaging in market manipulation to try and make this enormous short investment pay off. So basically Wall Street Bets saw that and they realized two things. One, this is bullshit. And two, they can punish Melvin Capital for this bullshit. So they all just started buying GameStop stock. Just like all of them, just buying GameStop stock and holding it, because the way shorts pay off is you're essentially making a bet that the stock price is going to go down, and that's how you make money. But by pushing the stock price up, like Melvin Capital was like losing enormous amounts of money. Like I think the number was $90 billion.
They lost
Something
like
like that.
15% of their
Yeah.
value. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they-
was reading an article today morning. I don't think it was even 15. I think it was like 35 or something.
Yeah, no, they are getting fucked up. It is like, honestly, they are just getting like fucking like destroyed out there. It's not even like, it's honestly quite sad to watch. But basically like Wall Street Bets started doing that, and then GameStop stock started rising to like, I think it hit a high of like 180 or something like that on Tuesday, and then it started going down and it like hit like I think about 60. And then Elon Musk tweeted about it, and some Sri Lankan billionaire said he was just gonna throw like $100,000 in it because fuck it, like he can.
Oh yeah, his name's like Chamath Chamath P or whatever. But yeah, he's done like he used to work at Facebook. He's super successful, but he just threw $100,000 at it, converted it to like 500K, and then just made like $400,000 like
Yeah.
in a couple
Yeah,
days.
he was just
Crazy.
like, fuck it, I'm just gonna throw like $100,000 at this thing, and then the stock price was like whoop, all the way back up. Close of Tuesday, it was like aftermarket trading, it went up to like 250. Opening day on Wednesday, it hit like 300, and then it started going up and down and up and down and up and down. Like it's gone from like 500 back all the way down to like 150, back up to 300. Currently, it is sitting around 330. 320, something like that. But we'll see. You know, stock market opens tomorrow. Could be some interesting movements happening there. And the thing is, basically, the longer this goes on, the more it hurts for Melvin Capital and like basically anybody else who shorted the stock. And so the question is like, you know, whose resolve breaks first? Like it's basically a game of like financial chicken. Like who's gonna blink first? The hedge funds or Wall Street Bets? Personally, my money is on Wall Street Bets. Not literally, of course. I didn't actually invest in GameStop, but like, you know, figuratively.
Yeah,
figuratively.
Yeah, I guess Noah really summed up the point. Like understanding what a short is isn't like super imperative to knowing like what's happening. I mean, it's useful, but basically, Melvin Capital and other like, you know, investment firms and hedge funds just bought off more than they can chew when it comes to GameStop, and then Reddit just decided to turn it on them.
Yep.
So
And now
Basically,
Robinhood's like preventing you guys from buying, right?
yeah, so Robinhood, what ended up happening was like, you know, people are obviously like buying a lot because the more of the stock that you buy, the less that like Melvin Capital and other hedge funds can actually buy to cover their short. Because when you're traditionally like buying a stock, it's like you buy this stock, you know, with your money, and then you're basically betting that stock is going to go up, and then you can just sell it later at a higher price, and then, you know, you make the difference in money. And so the maximum amount you can lose is however much you paid for the stock. So if I buy like, you know, a stock at like $20 and it goes down like to zero, like max I can lose there is my $20, right? Is like the initial amount I put in. But with shorting, there's an infinite like ceiling for how much you can lose, because you're not actually like spending money in the sense of like you are just buying the stock.
The way it works,
Rather,
the way it works is like you tell a guy you borrow the amount of stocks from someone else. So you tell a guy and you're just like, yo, in 10 days I'm gonna give you 10 stocks, and if you give me 10 stocks now, I'll give you 10 stocks later in 10 days. And so what you're doing is, in the span of those 10 days, you're betting that the stock price, so you immediately sell the 10 stocks that you just got from that guy, and you bet that the value of the stocks will decrease, so that if it takes you $10 to buy 10 stocks on day one, maybe somewhere on day 5 it only takes $5 to buy 10 stocks, and then you buy it when it's at $5 for 10 stocks, and then you give him back the 5 stocks or the 10 stocks at like day 10 or something. So you essentially have made $5 like that
per stock.
Yeah, or like $5 in total. I'm saying like if each stock costs like a buck at time 0, and then like at time 5 it costs like 50 cents. So you make 50 cents per stock.
Yeah.
So you owe the person 10 stocks no matter what at the end.
No.
So like if it keeps on increasing, you have to buy. So like if at time 5, like it's worth $5 bajillion, you have to buy each stock. You have to buy 10 of those $5 bajillion stocks. Like no matter what, or else like you go into debt and you get like thrown into jail.
That's like the technical infinite ceiling, right? But like when the stocks go down, it can't go like negative.
Yeah.
It just can go to 0. So that's like the max amount you can lose, right? So that's why generally, like if you're like, you know, with some sort of like financial advisor or with some sort of group in terms of handling your finances, like they don't really recommend shorting, and like it's a very like high risk kind of move. But the reason hedge funds do it is because like, you know, they've been doing it for quite some time and they know it's like a quick kind of way to make money, but it didn't work out too well for them this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they overextended and they got punished hard for it. So we'll see what happens, you know. Honestly, like all the shit I've seen coming out of this has just made me like I think I am like pretty firmly on the side of Reddit and Wall Street Bets. Like
What do you mean, like
the
the
way
side
like
of like morality, or like who's gonna win?
well, morality. Because, like,
Okay.
the two sides are, like, um, you have, like, CNBC and, like, basically mainstream financial media saying that this is, like, a bubble or, it's, like, some sort of, like, hype, like, craze, which it isn't.
Yeah.
It really isn't. It's not the same thing as, um, like, the housing market in 2008, which, by the way, Wall Street was responsible for. Like, people on Wall Street Bets don't think that GameStop is just never going to lose value. They realize that GameStop as a company is essentially worthless. What they know is that these hedge funds fucked up and they can squeeze them for that. And the people like writing like articles on like CNBC or Wall Street Journal or whatever, basically implying that this is like some huge stock market bubble, they're just spinning like that's just straight BS. Like that's not at all the situation.
Yeah, I mean, lots of articles that like these sort of financial media companies are putting out are like trying to get people who own the stock to sell it so the hedge funds can cover their shorts. But like that's why if you like look on Reddit and you go through like any of the comments through any of the posts mentioning GameStop or AMC or any of like the sort of stocks that this has been happening to, they're all just like hold the line,
Yeah,
hold, don't sell. Like that's
Yeah,
that's
because
what
like
that means.
the less they have to buy, also like not only is like the price high, but it's just like harder to cover those
It
like
increases
10
Yeah.
stocks.
no,
that
it
you could
increases
buy.
the demand for the stock,
Yeah.
so it increases the price, and then it just compounds like infinitely, which is why I think like Melvin Capital lost like 50% of like some like billion number of dollars that it actually makes.
yeah.
So it's kind of getting pretty boned right now, but like rightfully
Like
so.
the thing that I think people are confused about is the fact that people don't realize Melvin Capital has to buy all the stock. They have to because they already basically sold it and put out an IOU. So they have to buy the stock at some point. And like basically what Wall Street Bets is trying to do is they're trying to buy up all the stock, hold it, and say we're not going to give you this, like we're not going to allow you to buy our stock. We're not going to sell the stock unless you pay us like $1,000 a share. And Melvin Capital can't do shit about it. They have to because they already made that pre-existing commitment.
Yeah, they're just like legally obligated to, or else they'll just get like the government just be like you're bad, and they'll be like it's great.
Well, I don't know about the government, but like, yeah, somebody's gonna like
Oh yeah, they're like they're dead.
slap them on the wrist. Yeah,
Yeah, and lots of different like companies have gone like tied up in this, but yeah, that's why like Robinhood was an issue because they weren't letting people buy, but they were also like if you bought GameStop on margin, which means like you're not actually spending like the money that you have, but like you're borrowing it. What Robinhood has in like their terms of service is that they can do what they want with like stocks you buy on margin. So they like forcefully sold GME or GameStop stocks like that people bought on margin, and like the user can't like stop them from doing it. So like generally like pretty shitty practices from Robinhood.
Yeah.
yeah. And honestly, the rhetoric surrounding this has been really patronizing. Like the idea that like this is like way too volatile and like retail investors are gonna get hurt. Like people knew what they're getting into when they bought GameStop. Like people aren't just like running into this blindly. Like people know what they're getting into when they're buying GameStop. Like the implication that like basically retail investors or like small investors are a bunch of like idiots who have no idea what they're doing is really patronizing.
Yeah, I mean they knew the risk that they were taking. They've just done it so much before that they just always assumed they could get away with it, and this time they're not. Which is actually it reminds me of you guys remember in back in high school when we were taking like AP like macro or micro or whatever. We had to play the stock
Yeah.
market game.
Yeah.
The way like some people got like super rich and were at the top of the leaderboard was they just picked super volatile stocks, and then they would just like constantly short them. And so that's why you saw people like
Oh yeah,
one day
man,
they'd have like
that's
600k,
400.
and then the other day they would literally be at like $20. Like it's crazy, like how volatile it is and how like it is with that situation then, which was kind of funny in the stock market game because like obviously it's not real money, but I with the GameStop it's like it's pretty clear cut. Like I don't think it's like volatile, but basically they just want you to sell it. Like media just wants you
Yeah.
to sell it. So like Melvin Capital cannot just be
And
demolished.
like I know some people out there are probably like listening to this and like, hey, wait, haven't you called like vast sections of the American public idiots before? And like, yes, I think the vast majority of human beings are idiots. But here's the thing: there's nothing about Wall Street that makes them special. They're all dumbasses too. Like, look at 2008. Look at like the 1980s with the savings and loan crisis. Look at like basically every decade. Like it literally just goes like every 10 years, the financial sector fucks up collectively. They all just fuck up. And the idea that like now they're getting punished for it and that means that they get to now call retail investors uneducated is just hilarious to me. It's like somebody catching you out on like a dumb mistake you made. You wrote like 5 + 4 = 8, and somebody's like, hey, wait, that's not right, and you were like, what are you, an idiot? That's basically what's going on here. Like Wall Street got caught out being dumb, and now they're trying to turn around and say that retail investors don't know what they're doing. Like it is mind blowing to me that like they're just going out there and like that's the narrative they're pushing.
It is what it is. I mean, it's all about the money. So
True.
Yeah. it's interesting. It's quite interesting, and yeah, I imagine the situation will develop as more and more time goes on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly.
And
So
Monday we'll see what happens with the stock.
Yeah,
but-
we have like a. So here I'm like part of the Econ Research Club, and so we have like a meeting coming up with the professor. I'm very curious to see what he thinks, because like professors, he's like an economics professor, right? And so they're not part of Wall Street, obviously.
Isn't like Wall Street more like finance rather than econ?
Yeah, it's more finance than econ, but like his research and stuff. Like, there's also a professor I know whose research is mostly finance. Actually, one professor I'm doing research with, his professor is just purely finance. Honestly, I'm gonna ask him and see what he thinks.
There are probably like two professors out there.
But he seems like a bit conservative, so I'm not exactly 100% sure. I actually don't know what his political leaning is at all. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
Maybe it's wrong, but I'm just curious to see what exactly he thinks. Because like there's also like all the companies in the in media and stuff, and like Wall Street Journal, they all have incentives to like in the company. Like they have incentives to tell everyone to sell and whatnot. I'm just curious like what a professor who maybe has money in the market but is probably not like losing that much because of this, what they have to say about this.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's probably
Yeah.
two kinds of economic professors out there right now. There's like the kind that's just like super excited to talk about this and like connect to their students, and there's the kind that are just like praying that nobody asks them about GameStop when the class time comes.
Yeah.
Pretty inevitable that they do get asked about it, like, let's be honest. But yeah, well, I feel like that's about a good summarization and all of our thoughts on GameStop. So on a more fictional note, recently the trailer for Kong versus Godzilla came out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Anybody
movie
here
is
planning to watch it?
not gonna be great. I mean, like plot wise, but I will say the fights in the movie look pretty sick.
Yeah, Cobb.
I mean,
Cobb
who's
and I-
really gonna
yeah,
watch it for
Cobb
the
and
plot?
I remember Cobb and I. We went to see the last
Godzilla King of
movie.
Monsters.
Yeah, and
the last
we
one.
walked in. We knew the plot was gonna be complete shit. Like we knew this from the beginning, but like there's no and like also the reviews. Like all the reviews and stuff. Like to be fair, you have to say like some reviewer has to say that the plot is not what it is, but like everyone knows, and not at least intelligent people know when you're going into the movie, like you're gonna get what you expect. You want big monster fights and a lot of CGI, and that's
Yep.
what we expect in this one.
Well, and
I mean, that's
actually
what you
looks kind
come
of
for.
insane though. Like the fights kind of look like pretty insane. Like I'm very hyped to see those fights.
Yeah, the fights are like literally what you watch it for. You don't watch it for anything else.
I don't know though. Like I've seen a lot of memes around this
The
movie.
memes
It's like,
are good. The memes
yeah,
are
no, wait.
so good.
wait, but like they're right though. Like Godzilla's like this like fucking radioactive dragon that shoots laser beams, and Kong's a big monkey. Like, how the
Yeah,
fuck is
Kong's-
King Kong gonna
yeah,
fight Godzilla?
Kong has a secret weapon though. He gets this like basically he gets like Thor's axe. Like he basically
Yeah, but
gets
his,
his
Okay,
axe.
what?
Cobb and I were talking
Yeah.
about this. His storyline is so similar to Thor in Endgame. Like So if you, I mean, this is just based on the trailer. Obviously, we don't know the story, so it's not even spoilers at this point. But I mean, it's fairly obvious to see at the beginning he fights Godzilla. He probably loses, and then he like gets a power upgrade by like getting a big hammer, and,
It's like-
and he probably
apparently-
makes himself.
Apparently,
makes
that
himself.
axe is like it's made of like spines from Godzilla's back, so it can like channel his power.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he like rips those
Yeah.
spines out of his back and like
How
makes
How
it
crazy.
did
hammer.
King Kong craft this axe?
Who
Bro,
cares?
he's a
bro? We want to
monkey,
see them
man.
fight
He's
each
a
other.
monkey. He takes
Some
his axe,
bop.
and it's actually like an endgame, right? Or not an endgame, but in the
Infinity War.
Yeah. Infinity War.
Infinity War.
Yep.
It's like
I,
he goes, he loses the fight, he goes, gets an axe, and he just like slaps Thanos with it. That's pretty
You know, I really want the backstory to this axe. Like, the U.S. government is like funding billions of dollars into this secret project where they're taking like Godzilla skills and forming it into this humongous axe. Why? Nobody knows.
To give
That's just
to
what
King
they're
Kong.
doing. And then
To
they're just
give
like,
to
and then
King
the
Kong.
yeah, and then the president is like being briefed by his generals, and like the general's like, Mr. President, we have this enormous fucking axe made out of Godzilla skills, and we'll use it to fight Godzilla. The president's but nobody can wield such a weapon. And the general's like, we got it, guy. Like hard cut to Godzilla, just like hanging out in the jungle, just like eating fucking trees, like doing whatever King Kong does in his off time.
Eating
Like, I don't fucking know. Like what the fuck do you think he does? I was gonna say eat a banana, but could you picture King Kong trying to eat a banana?
Yeah.
Maybe
no.
he has massive bananas on his island.
That is possible.
That is incredibly stupid.
I can imagine though. That'd be so fun.
That
If-
would be so
honestly,
funny.
I would think the movie would be amazing. Like right now, it's sort of like a serious, like action movie where you have like big CGI monsters. But I feel like they can make it, still have it an action movie, and then also just make it a comedy movie. Just by making the plot like
God.
they're aware of the fact that it's just so stupid. Like the president would be like, "Who could wield such a weapon?" And then you just see like
I
King
would watch
Kong
that
like
movie.
walking. He's like, "I can."
Guys, bro, I would watch
Starts
that
like
movie.
pounding his chest.
But you want to
You know
know
what'd
the
be-
most stupid part of all is that in the end, like, or this is all again like just speculation, but like you can see it in the trailer. Is like in the end, obviously Godzilla and Kong team up to fight a robot version of Godzilla.
Oh my god.
It's like this giant like mecha Godzilla thing.
Yeah, dude.
Dude.
I think it could be a great comedy action movie.
Honestly,
like
yeah.
they just
Like,
made fun of
that-
their own plot,
I
and
didn't
then
think
This
they
about
movie
that until
would-
Magic, but not gonna lie, I would watch the hell
This
out of
movie
it.
would be the greatest monster movie of all time if they portrayed King Kong like like Rambo. Like you got like some general like showing up in this jungle like King Kong, your country needs you, and King Kong doesn't talk. He doesn't talk because he's a fucking gorilla. But like the general just like responds to him as if he's talking. He's like, "God damn it, I know you got out of the army, but we need you. Your country needs you." And then King Kong's just looking at him. He's just looking. He's a fucking gorilla, and the general's like, "You son of a bitch. All right, we'll do it."
I'll give you the
That'd
13
be pretty
bananas.
good. No, see, it would actually be a quality movie if they just made fun of itself. Like it'd be so good.
Goddamn.
Like I think those movies are just like amazing. Like I know we talked about this movie before, but what is it, like The Drone or something, where they're just
Oh,
aware of how
yeah,
stupid
yeah.
it is? Like that's what makes the movie entertaining to watch. Is that they've literally taken the time and effort
Or
to
what was that other, the
construct
dinosaur
something
one?
so stupid.
The dinosaur.
No, it was like Velocipaster.
Oh my God.
where the where
Oh,
Velociraptor was also a passenger,
Oh, God.
and a prostitute convinces him to use his powers for good.
Oh,
God. It's amazing because it's so bad. Yeah, if they did shit like that with King Kong versus Godzilla, man, I'm here for it.
I would be on board with that like 100%.
Yeah, and they could still keep the fights like pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it still
Like,
has like the
absolute.
action that you're there for, but you're laughing when you're otherwise just not really paying attention. You know?
Like honestly, one of my favorite action movies, well, my two favorite action movies are Hot Fuzz and Tropic Thunder. Because both of them have like amazing action sequences, but they are both also just funny as hell. Like they are so goddamn funny.
No, this is why you should make movies in your semester.
No,
It's true.
I'll star in it. No, I'll star in it.
That's
I'll do
not-
it.
it's not going to incentivize me at all.
dude.
unless it's R-rated. I might be on board for that.
Okay.
Okay. yeah,
Little actor director going on here.
Oh, okay.
That's
yeah,
okay. This is when like half the people that are listening, so like
Shoot out. Yeah.
Yeah.
just like exited out. Dude, honestly, you know what would be amazing if the entire movie Godzilla or not King Kong doesn't say anything, and then he just starts talking like Renee at the end. He's just like he fucking kills Godzilla. He's like, this is a good thing. I like this. This is good. What I did, it's a good thing.
No, you'll
That
be even
was
better
a-
if they give him like fucking Morgan Freeman's voice. Like
Oh,
he
man,
like
that would
fucking
be
stabbed
so
Godzilla.
good.
He looks down at him like, sometimes you either gotta get busy living or get busy dying. And he died. God, that would be the
God.
funniest shit ever.
That's when you get those moments where like the theater erupts.
Oh wait, that would be so. I just pictured it. Like I just pictured it happen right now, and man, that would be so.
Dude, it would be
good.
so
He
confusing.
says one
and
line
so
the
funny.
entire time. One line the entire movie, and that's it. Right when he
Oh
kills
my
Godzilla.
That'd be kind of insane, honestly.
They should leave the production of this film to us.
Honestly,
Honestly, what
like,
is
yeah,
that?
goddamn,
Yes.
give us $500 million and we'll make you your movie.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Not
or,
even a
or just give us
flash.
$100,000
Like,
of
though?
stock.
Like there are like, I don't know, sometimes I'll hear people shit on movie theaters, and like, yeah, movie theaters like aren't always super great, but honestly, like there is no experience like watching a movie and like a hype as fuck scene comes on, like in Infinity War when like Thor like fucking beams down
Bro,
with his
yeah,
hammer,
yeah.
and like he goes up in the
Holy
air, he's
shit.
like, "Bring me Thanos," and you just hear
Yeah.
the bass. And like the entire theater is just going wild. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
That was such a hype moment. That was, and then when
Dude.
Cap lifted Mjolnir or the hammer.
Yes.
I love those moments.
Yes,
That was
when
so
Cap
hype.
lifted Mjolnir. Oh my god, dude.
Yo,
I'm
those
actually-
moments
I'm
are
actually
literally
getting
what
chills
you
right
live
now just
for in
thinking about
movies.
it.
Here's
I'm
the
just
thing.
thinking
Yeah,
about
dude, when he picks it up, like
What?
the theater's
I
just
don't know why Pranay didn't
screaming.
chills right. And like the three of us went together like on opening day and saw both of those moments, but Pranay ditched us both times.
Yeah.
I'll just point that out there.
I had to go with I went with my cousin.
That is no
I'll
excuse.
Go with him.
Yeah, you're not a true friend.
But those moments are so hype, so hype.
Oh my god, yeah. Those moments alone are what movie theaters are for. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
Like legit.
yeah, most
yeah.
movies, you're not gonna have that experience. Like most movies, like the theater isn't gonna be like that. But the movies that are like hype as fuck.
Hit
Oh
different,
my god,
man.
dude. Like I will never watch Infinity War or Endgame the same way as I did watching it in the theater for the first time with a full audience. Like,
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
Honestly,
a
man,
different
it's a
feeling.
different sensation.
You can
It's a
feel
different.
it.
You can even go like if you go on
Oh
YouTube,
my
they have
God,
like
yeah.
clips of like people like watch it, seeing the scene, and you like watch it with them, and you
You
still get
feel
hyped.
it.
You're not even
Oh
in
my
the
God.
theater with them, but you're getting hyped.
you just
Dude,
need
it's
that
those moments
crowd
of
energy.
hype where it's like, the crowd energy
Yeah,
is
oh my
honestly
God.
one of the craziest things. Like even if you watch basketball, if you watch like it's fourth quarter, there's like 1 second left, they throw like the ball from half court. It's they make it in somehow. They somehow then they win the game, and like it's home field, so the entire crowd erupts. Man, chills, always chills.
But even
feel
like,
like
just
it's-
like
this
not,
always
not even like
happens.
professional, just like playing soccer, like the way we did, like me and PJ and stuff. Like even when like the game was close, like at the very end, it's just the team that gets hyped, but you still feel it. You still feel it.
Yeah, it's an unreal feeling. Those are the moments we live for as humans. TBH.
Sorry, God, man. I'll be telling my children about Avengers and like the fucking like the energy of it. Like Infinity War and Endgame, like honestly, objectively, they're not like masterpieces of film, right? They're not gonna like be they're not gonna be like trendsetters or like standout pieces or whatever. But just
The
like
whole
the
thing together,
cultural,
just like
yeah, just like the cultural zeitgeist of it, like the fact that like everyone had been watching this shit for like a decade. Everyone knew about it. Everyone like was like just like following it and like was there
Yeah.
for it.
It was hinted at, like
Oh my
like
God.
in I forgot what was it, like the second.
Avengers, the very first
Avengers
Avengers, you
movie?
saw Thanos,
Well, no, in like the second Avengers, you get like
the Gauntlet.
or Age of Ultron, like Cap like kind of moves Thor's hammer a little bit.
Oh,
like
yeah,
they've
yeah,
been like
yeah.
setting it up,
Oh,
like
yeah.
and then you slowly get it, and then like he picks up the hammer. Dude, it's unreal, man. It's actually crazy.
Yeah, Endgame, right, came out 2019. That movie alone made more than the entire box office of 2020.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's
Oh,
not
yeah,
really
honestly,
fair.
Makes
Yeah, but still,
sense.
Yeah.
all the movies that came out in 2020, like regardless if they came out like in theaters or like streaming, like it's still
Oh,
like
really?
a lot of like blockbuster movies.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
Still impressive for one to take on
I
all
heard
of
that
those.
Wonder Woman, like, what was it, 84?
Yeah,
Heard that was
1984.
kind of
man.
trash.
Bro, I watched that movie. Let me tell you. I don't know if I don't think we talked about it last time.
No.
We've
was
talked about this at some
so
point, but I can't
wild.
remember if it was on the podcast.
Yeah,
It was
wild.
wild?
Like
Yeah, it was
in
like
a bad way. In a bad way. I had no clue
Oh.
what was happening in like half the time.
it's just there were
like,
so
all
many
of a
plot
sudden-
holes. There were so many
Yeah,
plot
so many
holes.
plot like that one thing, and then all of a sudden, just like suddenly with no lead up, no context around it, Gal Gadot's or like Wonder Woman just starts learning all these powers, and we're like, where are these coming from? I didn't know this was a thing that she can turn invisible, she can fly, she can I don't she was pretty much Superman. Like what? Why the
Yeah,
hell
but
do we
the-
have Superman?
No, but
If she
the
could do
biggest
that.
plot hole of all is like she learned all those powers, but she didn't use them in like the future, like Justice League and stuff like that.
Okay,
Batman
like
is supposed
honestly, even if you want to overlook that, they said like at one point in the movie, you can only do the wish once, right?
okay, sure,
But that woman leopard guy, she did it 2 times.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like I don't. If I went to go watch the movie, I haven't seen it, but if I went to go watch it, I really wouldn't really be
Yeah,
caring
I
about
know,
the
you
plot.
just feel like
Like,
kinda
I,
like a
don't,
dumb-
I really couldn't give
Yeah.
less of a shit about
Oh.
the plot. Like,
Like, from what I heard,
Yeah, we know.
I know what I'm
we know,
watching
we
for.
know.
from what I heard, like, the CGI
What?
was also pretty crap. Like, somebody said there was, like,
It was-
one scene that
wait,
literally
the
looked like it
fight-
was in
I
front of
mean,
a
like-
green screen.
I watched it on like HBO Max and stuff, right? The fighting,
same.
it just seems like super, like you could like feel that they were like just harnessed together. Like it didn't look real. It just didn't look
Yeah,
good.
I mean,
Yeah.
I will say the one thing I did like, I forgot what the actor's name, but the main antagonist, do you know his name, Club?
Yeah, Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, I really like him a lot. I like
He's
him
the
so much.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, I know he's the Mandalorian. He was also in like Narcos or
Just
something.
S tier actor, man.
Yeah, and like she
Yeah.
has this one line that I like so much. The way he says
Yeah,
it too.
I knew you
He's
liked this line.
yeah, he's like, life is good, but it can be better. And he
Oh,
says
yeah.
that, and he does like this hand motion too. Is so good. I'm like, this is top tier acting, man. His accent with it too. I don't know if you see that. You have to go see. I'll send you a clip right now. I'll search
I
it
mean,
up.
it's a meme now.
I'll watch.
At this
it.
point,
I'll,
that's a
I'll
meme.
watch it after we're done real quick.
Yeah.
But
Um,
it's kind of dark. Actually, when we started this episode, it was kind of light outside for me, but now it's pretty dark. So I've turned on like these lights in my room, and I got this color changing light bulb for my
Oh.
lamp, so I can have it on any color I want, or I can just have it like continuously like shifting kind of slowly, like red to orange to whatever naturally comes next, whatever. I don't know how that works. But and then I have like also string lights hung up on like the walls and stuff. So my room kind of has like a nice kind of warm feel right now. It's a good time.
Interesting.
But
Yeah.
that's on top of like my setup with like my monitor. I moved my speaker over here right underneath my monitor. I have my like keyboard. I have my like PC under my desk. All kind of, and my mic is right here. It's kind of lit.
Maybe
like,
on
I'm not gonna
Insta
lie.
we'll post a picture of all these setups. But like, yeah, see, I also just got a monitor, which just makes my setup look so clean now. Once I get a keyboard, it'll be complete. Even now, without a keyboard, it looks kind of nice. But like, I have a speaker right next to my monitor that I can obviously connect to whatever I'm using, either my phone or my laptop, and then like. I have like my microphone, my headphones. I have like a little headset thing that actually looks really nice over there. I have a place for my mic. I can just keep it over here. And my lamp, it makes it holds the lighting very nice.
honestly, your setup looks like just like the stereotypical college student setup.
Is that a good thing? Or is that just a thing?
I don't know. I think so.
I mean,
Like,
maybe.
you got the laptop, the monitor, the lamp, the little plant, the book.
Oh yeah, I do have a little plant.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty stereotypical.
Like, it looks like
I
the
will
kind
say
of
I
thing
like
that
that.
would be like in a college student like brochure if it was like if it had better lighting, it was a bit
I
cleaner.
see.
True.
There's this one vlogger. Like those college vloggers? I forgot his name. I watched this. He went to Vanderbilt. I don't know if he's.
I know who you're talking about. This Asian dude, right?
I don't
it's
know
an
who you're
Asian
talking
dude.
about.
Yeah, he has a
Yeah,
Bruce
I know who you're
Willis on.
talking about. I know who you're talking about. He
Yeah.
rides around on his electric
Yeah,
skateboard,
yeah.
all Joey like. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
That guy,
I forgot his name.
I got this white desk, like from the link in one of his like dorm room videos, and the lamp too, actually.
So you're a simp.
I don't.
Is that what I'm
I don't
hearing?
know if you can call it simp. It just I just
Simp.
thought it looked nice and I got it.
How about you, Jacob? Noah? Anything
setup is, like-
special you want to share about your setup?
Well, like, see, I'm at home, right? So like, it's a very temporary setup. So I don't feel like putting a lot of work and effort into a setup that I'm only going to use for a little bit. I feel like a nice setup can really make or break a space. Like, I agree, but like, I'm only going to try and do a proper setup in like a place that I know I'm going to stay for a while.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. I mean, yeah. Okay.
Honestly,
Noah, how about you?
and
Anything you
my
wanna share?
setup's pretty ratchet. Like, I'm not even using my normal desk from, because like basically I'm in my younger brother's room. He took my room when I moved out, and now I'm in his room, which has been converted to a guest room. So because like my room was bigger, and my parents figured I wasn't coming back, but then surprise, global pandemic. So yeah, I mean, like I got a computer monitor. Like my PC is probably like the nicest part of this whole setup. I'm using
Do you
my
have the hardware? You have,
oldest
like-
desk. Like this desk is like probably at least 15 years old, and it is just covered in drawings because, like, I don't know, when I was like 5, I drew on shit. So there's like just games of tic-tac-toe, like random drawings of people, just random words, just written, scribbled all over this shit. Like, the monitor I'm using is pretty crappy, honestly. My good monitor's back in DC, and I miss it a lot.
Unfortunate.
That is quite
It's
unfortunate.
it's too low to the well, it's too short. So I stuck a couple books under it.
Okay. We make
Yep.
do with what we have. Yeah, I like my setup, and I get your point, Jacob. Like, you don't need like, since eventually we're gonna go back to being like not permanently at home. We don't need like god tier setups, but I don't know. If I do decide, which I probably will end up doing, is moving into an apartment this fall for if we are going back in person, then I don't know. It'll still be pretty useful to have like this sort of setup,
I mean,
especially
but also
like
you don't have to move it like super far. So it is pretty portable, I would say, for you.
yeah,
That is
it
true.
shouldn't be too bad. It's really it's like a lot of things to move, I guess, but it's not like difficult. It's kind of weird to say, but it makes sense, I think.
Yeah, kind of.
No, because I have on top of like my like just computer stuff, like my PC, my monitor, my speaker. I have like the keyboard, my keyboard stand, my guitar, and my guitar stand, and just my music stand in general, like the amp, all that stuff. I saw there's like things to move, but it's not like hard to move these things. I guess you can put them anywhere in a room.
I honestly think it would just take like 2 car rides at most.
Yeah, probably. Wouldn't be too hard. I mean, we have a minivan, so definitely.
And
doable.
you're really close, so that helps.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like too bad. It's not like it's like a couple hours
Yeah.
or anything. So it was like half an hour, 45 minutes max. Yeah.
But
It's a
a
good
room
time.
setup, like a desk setup, can really make or break a semester of studying. Like,
Yeah, I honestly feel so much more motivated. It feels so much cooler now. Like last semester, I only had a laptop, and it was difficult, man. It was difficult, I will say.
I can imagine. Dude, once you've had like the monitor experience, it's really hard to go back to using a laptop all the time. Like,
Yep. Like once you have like an actual
I swear.
keyboard, and like your PC is like kind of, it's got like some some meat in it, and then like
Yeah.
like you go back to using your kind of your laptop, and you're like, man, this is weak.
yeah, literally, it's so true. Crazy true, actually. So
oh,
Like
It
I
is
remember my
what it is.
laptop used to
Oh.
lag if I had like more than 2 Chrome windows open. And like now I'm like out here just like I have a shitload of applications. Like I have Discord, Chrome, Audacity, like 2 video games open that like honestly I'm not even using half of these. I just forgot to close them.
is one of them
Okay.
that My Little Pony game now?
Hearts of Iron 4.
Alright, survived 4.
It's not a My Little Pony game. It's a
That's
My Little
a-
Pony mod.
My Little Pony mod.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, get it
No.
right, Jacob.
It's a
Come
World
on.
War II game,
How dare you?
and yeah.
Exactly. Exactly, man. See? History with Noah. God, put the music
Copy
again.
that.
Now the music is going in again.
Okay, very good.
I don't want to know what music you use for this.
I
How
will
about
find
I know what
something
music
very
you
nice,
use for
Noah.
this? Make it
Promise.
make it very Noah-esque.
I will.
Speaking of music, Viswa, you've shown me some music you've been making.
Yes, I have. I like to make music. That's why I have like the keyboard and the guitar and stuff that I mentioned. I use like Ableton. I kind of like when I'm actually like making music, I kind of just go all over the place in terms of like the genre. Lots of times I'll be like, I like disco, pop, funk, and so I'll make that music. And then after, I've considered a song as done, which means like it's not like perfect. It's not exactly where I'd want it, but I just like get it to a point where I'm like, this is enough for me, and I'll just go to like all different genres. So now I'm writing like a indie country folk kind of sounding song. So that should be interesting. I just tried writing like a traditional pop song. Probably next I'm gonna try doing like a pop punk sort of situation. But it's all over the
Dude,
place.
do
You know
you
how
do
it
you
is.
release these, or what do you do with the finished products?
Well, I haven't released anything. I'm probably gonna put it all into an album at some point and then sort of come out with it. But right now I'm just trying to like experiment with like lots of different genres. And I feel like it'd be weird to have an album that is like all these like really different kind of sounding songs. So once I like settle on something that I like enjoy, I'll probably do stuff like kind of around that idea.
Yeah, you hear that, ladies? Viswa Raj is on a stable career path, and he makes music.
Exactly.
Goddamn, like,
man.
oof, that's sexy right there.
Software
True.
engineering plus guitar
hmm
equals cash money.
He's like your artist boyfriend, but he's not going to be broke in a few years.
It's the best of both worlds.
Huh?
And that is maybe the best compliment I've ever received in my life. And with that, we thank you for listening to this episode of Stating the Obvious. We hope you enjoyed our shenanigans, us freaking out about Chris Evans picking up Thor's hammer, and etc. Any last words, guys, for our listeners?
Subscribe, like the
Slide into
podcast, follow it.
Jin's DMs.
Oh, make sure you leave a comment about History with Noah, so
Oh, yeah.
so you guys
Tell
can.
us what you want us to torture Noah with next.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. So stay tuned for the next episode of Stating the Obvious, and feel free to check out any of our past episodes. They're probably pretty funny as well. I have to remember to be like a little louder so Audacity doesn't just fuck me in the ass. Yay!